Śrīla Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Śrila Gurudev ki jai. Nitila Pushtam Vishnupad Rashatashmad Śrila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitila Pushtam Vishnupad Rashatashmad Śrila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Śrila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitila Pushtam Vishnupad Rashatashmad Śrila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitila Pavishtam Vishnupad Rashatashmad Śrila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitila Pavishta Maha-Bhagavat Śrila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitila Pavishta Śrila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitila Pavishta Vaishnav Sarva Bhauma Śrila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shara Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gora Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradakta Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki jai. Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Katyayani Vrat ki jai. Shri Sarva Vraja Devi Gan ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashankari Shri Nṛsiṁha ki jai. Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Bhaktaraj Shri Prahlad Maharaj jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. O Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Itadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yang pravrajantam anupetam apetya krityam dvaipayano virahakatara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya tarabobhinedu stang sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantasto Hyabhadrani Vidhunoti Suritsatam Nashta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai Vasmi Na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya radhe tvam nayamam charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay kshiptashtakamadhitaranga madhe kripa maitam sharanam prapanna vrinde namaste Charanāravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams Ganga Didi, Rup Manjari Didi, Raseshwari Mataji. Yes, Rup Manjari, it feels so good to be shaved up after 2 months. Feels so clean. Prajumna Prabhu Dandavat pranams, and Mantramurti Mataji, and oh, cool. We'll have to look at them. Pranams Pramila Mataji, Gargaraji, Dandavat pranams. Yes, Kartik is over, but in another universe it is just now starting. Very true. Yes. Adapya say, what is it? Adapya Koresh say, no, Lila Koresh Gorai. No, I forgot what the verse is. Dandavat pranams Madhavi Didi. Alright, so let's begin. Yesterday's reading was so exciting, wasn't it? It was too much. Okay. Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva slays the king of demons. So let's read from this book of Bhagavad Subodhini. Recap of the verses. Prahlad's instructions to his schoolmates about bhakti became effective, and they rejected their teachers, Shanda and Amarka. Hiraṇyakaśipu became angry at Prahlad. The sons of the demons appreciated and accepted Prahlad's instructions seriously, and rejected the instructions on diplomacy, politics, etc. of their so-called teachers, Shanda and Amarka. Note: when a pure devotee, Prahlad, preaches the glories of the Lord following in the footsteps of another pure devotee, Narad Muni, his preaching is effective. The teachers saw that the boys were becoming fixed in bhakti yoga. They were afraid and reported to Hiraṇyakaśipu. Note: by associating with a pure devotee and following his instructions, one becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness and is not disturbed by materialistic consciousness. Hiraṇyakaśipu became angry and decided to kill Prahlad. Hissing like a trampled snake, he spoke to Prahlad, who was peaceful, mild, and gentle, his senses controlled, and Prahlad stood with folded hands. Note: when one is impudent toward a highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the laws of nature and loses his lifespan, blessings, and the results of his pious activities. See Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10.4.46. Hiraṇyakaśipu rebuked Prahlad. O most impudent, unintelligent, disruptor of the family, lowest of men, obstinate, you have violated my power. Today I shall send you to the abode of Yamaraj. When I am angry, all the planets tremble. Then by whose power are you fearless? And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur shows how by the Saraswati, the goddess of learning, actually she made it so that all the words that he used were actually glorifications of Prahlad Maharaj, even though he intended them to be putting him down. So Durvanita means well-behaved or merciful toward the rascals. Mandatman means one who is kind to the unfortunate, as he cannot tolerate their suffering. Kula Bedakara means one who brings distinction to the family. Adham, like Prahlad, like the Prajapatis, has great power. Stabdham, Prahlad does not consider the demons worthy of worship. Yamakshayam, the abode for yoga which enables Prahlad to survive. Prahlad glorifies the Lord and advises his father. The Lord is the source of everyone's strength. Dear King, not only the source of my strength, the source of your strength and source of everyone else who is strong is the source of everyone else who is strong is the Supreme Lord. Whether moving or non-moving, superior or inferior, everyone, including Brahmā, is controlled by his strength. Note: all the different grades of fire derive heat and light from the sun. Similarly, all jivas are dependent on the Supreme Lord's mercy. One's only duty is to understand one's subordinate position and surrender unto the Lord. That Supreme Lord is the Supreme Controller, the Ishwar. He is the time factor. He is the power of the senses, mind and body, and vital force. He is the best of all living entities, the master of the three modes and the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of this cosmic manifestation. Give up your demoniac mentality of discriminating between enemies and friends. The uncontrolled mind is the only enemy in the world. In the platform of equality, one can worship the Lord quickly. Note: mind control and bhakti. The only bona fide process for controlling the mind is to fix the minds by service to the Lord. We create enemies and friends according to the dictation of the mind, but actually, there are no enemies and friends. To understand this is the preliminary condition for entering into the kingdom of devotional service. Enemies are merely imagined ignorance. One will have no enemies if one controls the mind and senses, conquers the 6 plunders within, lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy, and is equipoise to all living entities. Link to the next verse. If good instructions are given to a fool, he does not take advantage of them, but becomes more angry. Prahlad's authorized instructions were not accepted by Hiraṇyakāśipu, who was interested only in money and women. Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu refers to good betting. Thus, he responded with anger as follows. Sorry, my phone keeps on. Let me just make sure that. Okay. So Sri Hiranyakashipu, notice that Sri there, threatens to kill Prahlad, because that's how it was in the book. And explains, because Prahlad was the son of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu was also, I don't know, he was worthy of respect just for that. Note, although Hiranyakashipu is a demon, he is described here by the added word Sri, because he fortunately had a great devotee son as Prahlad. Thus, although he was a demon, he would attain salvation and return home back to Godhead. Desirous of death in my hands, you are speaking confused words and boasting as if you were better than me at controlling the senses. O fool! Where is your Lord? O unfortunate Prahlad, you always describe the Supreme Being who is above everything, controller of everyone, and all-pervading. If he is everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar? Note, Hiranyakashipu thought himself fortunate as he possessed the property of the universe. He called Prahlad unfortunate because although, as his legitimate son, Prahlad was to inherit this property, because of his impudence, he was going to die at hands. In all circumstances, a devotee can see the Lord everywhere, whereas the non-devotee cannot. I shall now sever your head. Let me see how your most worshipable God comes to protect you. Then Hiranyakashipu then took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and obsessed with anger, he struck his fist against the column. From the pillar came a fearful sound, which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. It reached even Brahmaloka and the demigods. It reached even Brahmaloka, and the demigods thought, "Oh, now our planets are being destroyed." Hiranyakashipu heard that sounds that had never been heard before. Other leaders of the demons were afraid, and no one could find its origin. I'm not going to try to do a roar. I was thinking of doing it yesterday, but okay. The Lord proves his devotees' words true. To prove that the statement of his servant Prahlāda true, that the Lord is present everywhere, in all living entities and elements, Lord Hari appeared in a most wonderful form that was never seen before from the pillar and the assembly. That form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Note: Lord Krishna told Arjuna to declare that his devotee never perishes. The Lord preserves the word of his devotees, and he appeared as Nṛsiṁha, half man and a half man, half lion, formed to make the words of the following devotees true. Prahlāda had said that the Lord was present everywhere, even in a pillar. Hiranyakashipu, formerly Jai, the doorkeeper of Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha, had prayed not to die from a created being, inside or outside a residence, and not by man or beast. Also, he thought, I may die because of my hatred of Prahlāda. Prahlāda had sanctioned the desires of Hiranyakashipu. So for all these reasons, he came in that form. Narad Muni told and also, he came to make the words, Narad Muni told that the child in Kayada's womb could not be killed. Hiranyakashipu was astonished to see the Lord emerging from the pillar. He thought, what is this creature that is half man and half lion? Note: Hiranyakashipu never thought that an animal and human being would be combined, so that the demons like him would be puzzled by such a form. This is the meaning of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's omnipotence. Okay, we ended with this, with the two next verses. The fearsome features of Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva. Kashipu studied the Lord's form. He had angry eyes resembling molten gold. He had a shining mane which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face. He had deadly teeth and a razor-sharp tongue which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless. He had nostrils and gaping mouth that appeared like mountain caves. He had parted jaws, a thick and short neck, a broad chest, and thin waist. His entire body was touching the sky. His bodily hairs were as white as the rays of the moon. His arms were like flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions, killing the demons. Hiranyakashipu attacked Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva with his club, thinking, Lord Vishnu has made this plan to kill me, but what is the use? Who can fight me? Note here, lion versus elephant. Here, Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva appeared like a lion, and Hiranyakashipu attacked him like an elephant. Therefore, this comparison is appropriate, because in the jungle, sometimes lions and elephants fight, and generally, the elephant is defeated by the lion. Okay, so now we're going to continue this fight. What time is it? Oh my god, it's 7:24. Okay, well, we can end. I'm going to end at 8 o'clock no matter where we're at. Just looking at the... Maybe. Yeah, that's a really interesting fact. Okay. Lakshitogno patita patangamo yata nṛsiṁho jasiso stada natad vichitram kalu sattva dhamani swatejasayo nupura pipat tama. Just as a small insect falls forcefully into a fire and the insignificant creature becomes invisible, when Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, who is full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he he entered the dark universe and illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord is situated transcendently in pure goodness. The material world is generally controlled by tamagun, the quality of ignorance. But the spiritual world, because of the present and its effulgence, is free from all contamination by darkness, passion, or contaminated goodness. Although there is a tinge of goodness in this material world in terms of the Brahminical qualifications, such qualifications sometimes become invisible because of the strong prevalence of the modes of passion and ignorance. But because the Lord is always transcendently situated, the material modes of passion and ignorance cannot touch him. Whenever the Lord is present, there cannot be any darkness from the mode of ignorance. It is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22:31. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoya Andakar, Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Mayar Adhikar. Godhead is light, nescience is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there is no nescience. This material world is full of darkness and ignorance, is full of darkness and ignorance of spiritual life. But by bhakti yoga, this ignorance is dissipated. The Lord appeared because of the bhakti yoga exhibited by Prahlad Maharaj, and as soon as the Lord appeared, the influence of Hiranyakashipu's passion and ignorance was vanquished, as the Lord's quality of pure goodness, or the Brahman effulgence, became prominent. In that prominent effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible, or his influence became insignificant. An example illustrating how the darkness of the material world is vanquished is given in the Shastra. When Brahma was created from the lotus stem growing from the abdomen of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Lord Brahma saw everything to be dark. But when he received knowledge from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything became clear, as everything becomes clear when one comes from night to sunshine. The important point is that as long as we are in the material modes of nature, we are always in darkness. This dark be dissipated without the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is invoked by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga creates a transcendental situation with no tinges of material contamination. Tato bhipadyabhyahanan mahasuro rusha nrshingam gadayor udvegaya tam vikramantam sagadam gadadharo mahoragam tarksha suto yatagrahit. Thereafter, the great demon Hiranyakashipu, who is extremely angry, swiftly attacked Nṛsiṁhadeva with his club and began to beat him. Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a snake. Satasya hasto kalitastadasuro vikridato yadavad ahir gurutmata asadvaman amanyanta hrito kasomara ghana chadha bharata sarvadishnapa. O Yudhishthir, O great son of Bharat, when Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hands, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake and lets it slip from his mouth, the demigods, who had lost their abodes and who were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demon, did not consider that incident very good. Indeed, they were perturbed. Interesting, the demigods don't have 100%. It seems like they don't have 100% faith, huh? I shouldn't say that, I don't know. Anyways, let's see the purport. When Hiranyakashipu was in the process of being killed by Nṛsiṁhadeva, the Lord gave the demon a chance to slip from his clutches. This incident was not very much appreciated by the demigods, for they were greatly afraid of Hiranyakashipu. They knew that if somehow or other Hiranyakashipu escaped from Nṛsiṁhadeva's hands and saw that the demigods were looking forward to his death with great pleasure, he would take great revenge upon them. Therefore, they were very much afraid. Tang manyamano nijavirya shankitam Yadhastamukto Nriharim Mahasura Punastamasa Jatakadka Charmani Pragya Vegena Gatashramamride. One second, I'm getting bit by mosquitoes, and usually I tolerate that, but not during this dengue time. One second. All right. One second, guys, sorry. All right. Okay, I'm back. Okay. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands of Nṛsiṁhadeva, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. Therefore, after taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield, and again attacked the Lord with great force. And remember, what's the whole purpose of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha coming? Or like for Jai and Vijay coming to this world. Their only purpose in coming to this world was to give the Lord the satisfaction of having a good fight, so he could taste this Vidyādharas, this ras of chivalry. So Hiranyakashipu is going to let the fight go on for a little while. It's not going to, it's not going to. Purport. When a sinful man enjoys material facilities, foolish people sometimes think, how is it that the sinful man is enjoying, whereas a pious man is suffering? By the will of the Supreme, a sinful man is sometimes given the chance to enjoy the material world as not under the clutches of material nature, just so that he may be fooled. A sinful man who acts against the laws of nature must be punished. But sometimes he is given a chance to play, exactly like Hiranyakashipu when he was released from the hands of Nṛsiṁhadeva. Hiranyakashipu was destined to be ultimately killed by Nṛsiṁhadeva, but just to see the fun, the Lord gave him a chance to slip from his hands. Tangshena vegam shatachandra vartmabish charantamachidram uparyado hari kritvarta hasam karam utsvanolbanam nimilitaksham jagrihe mahajvaha. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with a shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth, his eyes closed because of fear of Nṛsiṁhadeva's laughter. I can't do that. Vishvakspurtantam grahananturam harir vyalo yathakum kulishakshatattvacham dvarurum apatya dadara lilaya nakar yatahim garudo mahavisham. As a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here, there, and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hands. Shri Nṛsiṁhadeva ki jai! Shri Hiranyakashipu Tirubhav, Titi ki jai. Right? Purport. Hiranyakashipu had received from Lord Brahma the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of Lord Brahma intact, Nṛsiṁhadeva placed Hiranyakashipu's body on his lap, which is neither land nor sky. Hiranyakashipu had received the benediction that he would not die either during the day or at night. Therefore, to keep this promise of Brahma, the Lord killed Hiranyakashipu in the evening, which is the end of the day and the beginning of night, but is neither day nor night. Hiranyakashipu had taken a benediction from Lord Brahma that he would not die from any weapon or be killed by any person, dead or alive. Therefore, just to keep the word of Lord Brahma, Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva pierced Hiranyakashipu's body with his nails, which were not weapons, and were neither living nor dead. Right? Because they're not dead because they're still growing and they're part of this body, but they're also not living. Like you can cut them off and you wouldn't. Therefore, just to keep the word of Lord Brahma, Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva pierced Hiranyakashipu's body with his nails, which were not weapons and were neither living nor dead. Indeed, the nails can be called dead, but at the same time they can be said to be alive. To keep intact all of Lord Brahma's instructions, Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva paradoxically, but very easily, killed the great demon Hiranyakashipu. Samramba dushpreksha karalalochano Vyatananantam vilihan jivaya asreglavaktaruna kesharanano yatantramali dipahattaya hari. Can't believe we finally made it here after so long. Oh God, feels so. Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nṛsiṁhadeva, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that has just killed an elephant. Purport. The hair on Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva's face, being sprinkled with drops of blood, was reddish and looked very beautiful. Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva pierced Hiranyakashipu's abdomen with his nails, pulled out the demon's intestines, and wore them as a garland, which enhanced his beauty. Thus the Lord became very fearsome, like a lion engaged in fighting an elephant. Nakang kurot patitahrit suroruham Visrija tasyano charan udayudhan Ahan samastan nakashastra panibhir Dordandayuto nupatan sahasrasha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had many, many arms, first uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart, and then threw him aside and turned toward the demon's soldiers. These soldiers had come in thousands to fight with him with raised weapons and were very faithful followers of Hiranyakashipu. But Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva killed all of them merely with the ends of his nails. Talk about bravery! My God! Those must be the most brave soldiers that's ever existed. Purport. Since the creation of the material world, there have been two kinds of men, the devas and the asuras. The devas are always faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the asuras are always atheists who defy the supremacy of the Lord. At the present moment, throughout the entire world, the atheists are extremely numerous. They are trying to prove that there is no God and that everything takes place due to combinations and permutations of elements. Thus, the material world is becoming more and more godless, and consequently, everything is in a disturbed condition. If this continues, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will certainly take action, as he did in the case of Hiranyakashipu. Within a second, Hiranyakashipu and his followers were destroyed. And similarly, if this godless civilization continues, it will be destroyed in a second, simply by the movement of one finger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demons should therefore be careful and curtail their godless civilization. They should take advantage of the Krishna consciousness movement and become faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, they are doomed. As Hiraṇyakaśipu was killed in a second, the godless civilization can be destroyed at any moment. I love how Srila Prabhupada talks in that way. Okay. Shatavadhuta jalada parapatam grahas chatadrishti vimushta rochisha ambhodaya shvasa hata vichukshubhir nirharada bhita digibha vichukrushu. The hair on Nṛsiṁhadeva's head shook clouds and scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of the luminaries in the sky. His breathing agitated the seas and oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. Purport. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 10:41, Yadyad vibhutimat sattvam Śrīmad urjitam eva va tad eva vagatvam mama tejong sambhavam. Know that all beautiful, glorious, and mighty creations spring from a spark of my splendor. The illumination of the planets and stars in the sky is but a partial manifestation of the Lord's effulgence. There are many wonderful qualities of different living entities, but whatever extraordinary things exist are but a part of the Lord's tejas, his illumination or brilliance. The deep waves of the seas and oceans, and the many other wonders within the creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all became insignificant when the Lord, in his special feature, incarnates within this material world. Everything is insignificant in comparison to his personal, all-defeating transcendental qualities. Deostat shatok shipta vimana sankula protsatakshma chapadabhipidita shaila samut petur amusha ranghasa tatejasa kam kakubho nare jire. Airplanes were thrown into outer space and the upper planetary system by the hair on wait, what? This sentence seems to be missing a verb. Yeah, this is missing a verb right here. Anyways, airplanes were thrown into outer space, and the upper planetary system were something by the hair on Nṛsiṁhadeva's head. Because of the pleasure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position, and all the hills and mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination. Purport. That there were big airplanes flying in the sky long, long ago can be understood from this verse. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was spoken 5,000 years ago, and the statements of this verse prove that the symptoms of a very advanced civilization then existed, even in the upper planetary systems, as well as in the lower planetary systems. Modern scientists and philosophers foolishly explain that there was no civilization prior to 300,000 years ago. But the statement of this verse nullifies such whimsical judgments. The Vedic civilization existed millions and millions of years ago. It existed since the creation of this universe, and it included arrangements all over the universe with all the modern amenities, and even more. Tata sayam upavishtam uttame nripasane sambhritatejasam vibhum alakshita dvairatam atyamarsanam prachanda vaktram na bhabhaja kaschana. It'd be so fun to see the technology of that time. manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance. Lord Nṛsiṁha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Purport. When the Lord sat on the throne of Hiraṇyakāśipu, there was no one to protest. No enemy came forward on behalf of Hiraṇyakāśipu to fight with the Lord. This means that by his supremacy, this supremacy was immediately accepted by the demons. Another point is that although Hiraṇyakāśipu treated the Lord as his bitterest enemy, he was the Lord's faithful servant in Vaikuntha, and therefore the Lord had no hesitation in sitting on the throne that Hiraṇyakāśipu had so laboriously created. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection that sometimes, with great care and attention, great saintly persons and rishis offer the Lord valuable seats dedicated with Vedic mantras and tantras, but still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones. Hiraṇyakāśipu, however, had formerly been Jai, the doorkeeper at the Vaikuntha gate, and although he had fallen because of the curse of the Brahmins and had gotten the nature of a demon, and although he had never offered anything to the Lord as Hiraṇyakāśipu, the Lord was so affectionate to his devoted servant that he nonetheless took pleasure in sitting on the throne that Hiraṇyakāśipu had created. In this regard, it is to be understood that a devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life. Ishamya lavaka trayamastaka jaram tamadi daitam harina hatam ride prahashave kalitana namuhu prasuna varshar vavrushu surastriya. Hiraṇyakāśipu had been exactly like a fever of meningitis in the head of the three worlds. Thus, when the wives of the demigods and the heavenly planets saw that the great demon had been killed by the personal hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their faces blossomed in great joy. The wives of the demigods again and again showered flowers from heaven upon Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva like rain. Tada vimana valabhir nabhastalam tidrikshatam sankulamasanikkanam suranaka dundubhayota jagnire kandarva mukhya nandritur jagustriya. At that time, the airplanes of the demigods who desired to see the activities of the Supreme Lord Narayan crowded the sky. The demigods began beating drums and kettle drums, and upon hearing them, the angelic women began to dance, while the chiefs of the Gandharvas sang sweetly. Tatra, let me put it out of this view. Tatra pavraja vibuddha Brahmā girishadaya rishaya Pitṛs siddha Vidyādhara mahoraga manava prajanam patayo gandharvapsaracharana yaksha kim purushastata vetalala sahakinara te Vishnu parshadha sarve Sunanda kumudadhayo murdhni badanjali puta asinam tevate idire narashardulam nati durachara pratak. My dear King Yudhishthir, demigods then approached the Lord. They were headed by Lord Brahmā, King Indra, and Lord Śiva, and included great saintly persons and the residents of Pitṛlok, Siddhalok, Vidyādharalok, and the planet of the snakes. The Manus approached, and so did the chiefs of various other planets. The angelic dancers approached, as did the Gandharvas, the Charanas, the Yakshas, the inhabitants of Kinnara-loka, the Vetalas, the inhabitants of King Purusha-loka, and the personal servants of Vishnu, like Sunanda and Kumuda. All of them came near the Lord, who glowed with intense light. They individually offered their obeisances and prayers, their hands folded at their heads. Shri Brahma Vacha Natosmyanantaya Duranta Shaktaye Vichitra Viryaya Pavitra Karmane Vishvasya Sarga Stiti Samyamangunai Salilaya Sandadhate Vyayatmane. Now we're going to hear the prayers of many different people. Look, I'll show you. The prayers of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, the sages, Pitṛs, Siddhas, Vidyādharas, Nagas, Manus, Prajapatis, Gandharvas, Charanas, Yakshas, Kimpurushas, Vaitalikas, Kinnaras, and the associates of Lord Vishnu. That's what we're going through now. Let's see where we get to. I was planning on going up to here, the Vidyādharas. Lord Brahma prayed, "My Lord, you are unlimited, and you possess unending potencies. No one can estimate or calculate your prowess and wonderful influence, for your actions are never polluted by the material energy. Through material qualities, you very easily create the universe, maintain it, and again annihilate it. Yet you remain without deterioration. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you." Purport. The activities of the Lord are always wonderful. His personal servants Jaya and Vijay were confidential friends, yet they were cursed, and they accepted the bodies of demons. Again, in the family of one such demon, Prahlad Maharaj was caused to take birth to exhibit the behavior of an exalted devotee. And then the Lord accepted the body of Nṛsiṁhadeva to kill that same demon, who, by the Lord's own will, had taken birth in a demoniac family. Therefore, who can understand the Lord's transcendental activities? Not to speak of understanding the transcendental activities of the Lord, no one can understand even the activities of his servants. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 23:39, it is said, "Tar vak mudra vigyeha na bhujai." Usually it's Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigyeha na bhujai, isn't it? Oh, maybe not. Actually, I'm just very curious. Okay. No one can understand the activities of the Lord's servants. Whatever. Never mind. Will that open up? Yeah. Oh, it is Jai Chitte. Okay. Therefore, what to speak of so nobody can understand the activities of the Lord's servants. Therefore, what to speak of the activities of the Lord himself? Who can understand how Krishna is benefiting the entire world? Sorry, something got stuck in my throat. Oh my God. Okay. The Lord is addressed as Duranta Shakti, because no one can understand his potencies and how he acts. Sorry guys. Shri Rudra Uvacha Kopakala Yugantaste Hatoyam Asurulpaka Tatsutam Pahupasritam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala. Lord Shiva said, the end of the millennium is the time for your anger. Now that this insignificant demon Hiraṇyakaśipu has been killed, O my Lord, who are naturally affectionate to your devotee, kindly protect his son Prahlad, who is standing nearby as your fully surrendered devotee. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the creator of the material world. There are three processes, namely creation, maintenance, and finally annihilation. During the period of annihilation, at the end of each millennium, the Lord becomes angry, and the part of anger is played by Lord Shiva, who is therefore called Rudra. When the Lord appeared in great anger to kill Hiranyakashipu, everyone was extremely afraid of the Lord's attitude. But Lord Shiva, knowing very well that the Lord's anger is also his Leela, was not afraid. Lord Shiva knew that he would have to play the part of anger for the Lord. Kala means Lord Shiva, Bhairav, and Kopa refers to the Lord's anger. These words, combined together as Kopa Kala, refer to the end of each millennium. Actually, the Lord is always affectionate towards his devotees, even though he may appear very angry. Because he is avyayatma, because he never falls down, even when angry, the Lord is affectionate toward his devotees. Therefore, Lord Shiva reminded the Lord to act like an affectionate father toward Prahlad Maharaj, who is standing by the Lord's side as an exalted, fully surrendered devotee. In Shri Indra Uvacha Pratyanita Parama Bhagavata Trayatana Sabhaga Taitya Krantam Hridaya Kamalam Tadgriham Pratyabodhi Kalagrastam Kiyadidamaho Natashushatam Te Muktistesham Nahi Bahumata Nṛsiṁha Paraikim. That's the same meter as last verse of Upadeshamrita. And also of the verse, what is it? Guru Goshte Goshta Laishu Sudhe. Yeah, same meter as that. King Indra said, right? Or is that Shikarini? No, it is. Sorry, guys. Okay. King Indra said, O Supreme Lord, you are our deliverer and protector. Our shares of sacrifices, which are actually yours, have been recovered from the Our shares of the sacrifices, which are actually yours, have been recovered from the demon by you. Because the demoniac king Hiranyakashipu was most fearsome, our hearts, which are your permanent abode, were all overtaken by him. Now, by your presence, the gloom and darkness in our hearts have been dissipated. O Lord, for those who always engage in your service, which is more exalted than liberation, all material opulence is insignificant. They do not even care, not to speak of the benefits of Kama, Artha, and Dharma. Purport. In this material world, there are two kinds of people, the devatas, demigods, and the asuras, the demons. Although the demigods are attached to material enjoyment, they are devotees of the Lord who act according to the rules and regulations of the Vedic injunctions. During the reign of Hiranyakashipu, everyone was disturbed in the routine duties of Vedic civilization. When Hiranyakashipu was killed, all of the demigods who had always been disturbed by Hiranyakashipu felt relief in their general way of life. Because the government in Kali Yuga is full of demons, the living conditions of devotees are always disturbed. We're experiencing that right now. I mean, I'm not a devotee, but whatever. Devotees cannot perform yajna, and thus they cannot partake of the remnants of food offered in yajna for the worship of Lord Vishnu. The hearts of the demigods are always filled with fear of the demons, and therefore they cannot think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The engagement of the demigods is to think of the Lord always within the cores of their hearts. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 6:47, Yoginam api sarvesham margatayanantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. And of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. The demigods fully absorb themselves in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead to become perfect yogis. But because of the presence of demons, their hearts are filled with the activities of the demons. Thus their hearts, which are meant to be the abode of the Supreme Lord, are practically occupied by the demons. All the demigods felt relieved when Hiranyakashipu was dead. They could easily think of the Lord. They could then receive the results of sacrifices and become happy, even though in the material world. Shirishaya Uchu Tam Nastapa Paramam Atayat Tam Nastapa Paramam Atayadatmatejo Yene Damadi Purushatma Gatam Sasarkta Tadviplutam Amunadya Sharanya. Let me do that. Tadvipraluptam Amunadya Sharanya Pala Raksha Grihita Vapusha Puneranvamangsta. All the saintly persons present offered their prayers in this way. O Lord, O Supreme Maintainer sheltered at your lotus feet, O Original Personality of Godhead, the process of austerity and penance in which you instructed us before is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you create the material world which lies dormant within you. This austerity was almost stopped by the activities of this demon, but now, by yourself appearing in the form of Nṛsiṁhadeva, which is meant just to give us protection, and by killing this demon, you have again approved the process of austerity. Okay, I'm going to end with this purport, because I just noticed it's 8 o'clock already. Purport. The living entities wandering within the jurisdiction of 8,400,000 species of life get the opportunity for self-realization in a human form, and gradually in such other elevated forms as those of the demigods, Kinnāras, and Charamas, as will be described below. In the higher statuses of life, human life, the main duty is tapasya, or austerity. As Rishabhdev had advised his sons, tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhyet. To rectify our material existence, austerity, tapasya, is absolutely necessary. However, when people in general come under the control of a demon or a demoniac ruling power, they forget this process of tapasya and gradually also become demoniac. All the saintly persons who are generally engaged in austerity felt relieved when Hiraṇyakaśipu was killed by the Lord in the form of Nṛsiṁhadeva. They realized that the original instruction concerning human life, that it is meant for tapasya, for self-realization, was reaffirmed by the Lord when he killed Hiraṇyakaśipu. Oh man, I want to continue reading, but it's already past time. Anyways, we'll continue tomorrow. We'll read the prayers of the Pitṛs, Siddhas, Vidyādharas, Nagas, Manus, Prajapatis, Gandharvanas, Yakshas, Kimpurushas, Vatalikas, Kinnaras, and the associates of Lord Vishnu. And then, in the next chapter, Prahlād pacifies Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva with prayers. Maybe we can read up to verse 7. I'll see how long that is. All right. Namaste Nṛsiṁhaya Prahlādadayine Hiraṇyakaśipu Shilatankanakalaye Ito Nṛsiṁho Parato Nṛsiṁho Yato yamito Nṛsiṁho Pahir Nṛsiṁho Hridaye Nṛsiṁho Nṛsiṁhamadim Sharanam Prapade Tava Kamalavare Nakam Arbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiraṇyakaśipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tava Karakamavare Nakam Arbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiraṇyakaśipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Shri Nṛsiṁha Jai Nṛsiṁha Jai Jai Nṛsiṁha Desha Jaya Paramukha Parma Vringa Shri Nṛsiṁha Jai Nṛsiṁha Jai Jai Nṛsiṁha Shri Nṛsiṁha Jai Nṛsiṁha Jai Jai Nṛsiṁha Praladesha Jaya Paramukha Parma Vringa Praladesha Jaya Paramukha Parma Vringa Nṛsiṁha Jai Jai Prahlada Jai Jai 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 Lakshmi Nṛsiṁha Jaya Lakshmi Nṛsiṁha Jai Lakshmi Nṛsiṁha Jaya Lakshmi Nṛsiṁha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvi Giridhari Shishi Radha Vihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Shri Nṛsiṁhadeva Ki Jai Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnupara Shatarashata Shmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Nṛsiṁha Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnupara Shatarashata Shmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnupara Shatarashata Shmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnupara Shatarashata Shmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnupara Shatarashata Shmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Mahabhagavat Srila Gokshara Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Naam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Nṛsiṁha ki jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinasankari Shri Nṛsiṁha ki jai. Bhaktaraj Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur. Oh, Shri Katyayani Vrat ki jai. Shri Sarva Vraja Devi Gan ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Vrindai Tulsi Devai. Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Padadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams. All right. Okay, that makes sense. Yes. Okay, thanks for clarifying. Now that, yeah, it wasn't that this. Yes, it is the verb. I got it. Cool. All right. Dandavat pranams, everybody. See you all tomorrow for the prayers of all the demigods. Jai Shri Radhe. Dandavat pranams. Haribol. Dandavat pranams to the community. And Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sanudas. Now, what's your name there? I don't know actually. Okay, and Rup Manjari, everybody. Haribol.